Hey guys, how the hell are you? Thank you so much for tuning in to another iFAQ video. This is coming at you a little bit late in the weekend, and I apologize for that. As many of you guys know, Texas got hit really hard by some seriously inclement weather. Bottom line, it just ground everything to a freaking halt because Texas as a state is not prepared for this kind of weather. No one owns a fucking snowplow here. No one owns a salt truck here. So it's not something that they're used to. It's not something they're prepared for. So to get like even an inch of snow kind of grinds everything to a little bit of a halt. But to get as much snow and freezing rain as we did get, this was really brutal this last week. And we've all been catching up. Power's back on now. The internet's working again. I finally have phone service again. Water's back. Gas is back. Everything is slowly but surely creeping back to normal, so now I can put forth this content again, and I appreciate you guys' patience for that. Speaking of content, one thing I want to mention to you guys is that I've been kind of paying more attention to the analytics a little bit, and about 90% of y'all don't subscribe to the channel. And I'm not going to tell you how to live your lives, but if I can just ask of a quick little favor, just hit that little button right there. It costs you not a goddamn dime. If something comes up in your feed on YouTube that you don't want to watch, big deal, you scroll past it. But it does help me incredibly if you click that subscribe button. The more subscribers I have, the more interactions I have with the video, such as comments, such as clicking the like button, the more it affects the algorithm, and my videos get out there a little bit more, and therefore the channel grows, therefore I have more opportunity to provide quality content to you, or whatever you consider this. But please consider hitting that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me, and I would very much appreciate you. Now, take probably 900 of this because I keep going off on tangents. Let me try to keep this a little bit more concise. Let's get right into the burning questions that you guys just have to know my opinion on. Would you say Bandcamp is the champion of the unsigned independent artist? I would say that there's not a single thing out there that is a champion of the unsigned independent artist, to be honest with you. Everyone wants to make a little bit of money off of you if you are a creative. I kind of hate using that word, but it's better than calling it an artist, because let's face it, what I do is not fucking art. Bandcamp is a service that exists to make money off of the people that utilize the service, for better or for worse. Now, in my opinion, it's great for someone like me because although they do take out a little bit of a percentage here or there that are their operating costs, etc., ultimately I get a lot more profit out of what you guys buy from me on Bandcamp as opposed to, you know, if I was going through a record label or something a lot more formal like a distribution or anything like that. There's anything that involves a lot more paperwork, a lot more contracts, a lot more people that I have to deal with. So with Bandcamp, what's great about that, and this is the real reason why I love using Bandcamp. The reason why I love using Bandcamp is because I literally just do it all myself. I've set up everything. I just upload the shit. I get the profits back from it. They take their nominal little fee. I never have to talk with them. I never have to deal with them. It's just did and fucking done. So it's a lot less in between, a lot more of, hey, you like my music, you bought my music, I get paid for my music, and everyone's happy. So that is why I like Bandcamp. Friends I talk music with think I'm weird for dropping names all the time, but dude, where do you take all that knowledge from? So I just have such an insatiable lust for metal music that I'm always wanting to learn more about it. And it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I kind of identify a little bit with Henry Rollins on this because I forget what it was. It was one of his Talk is Cheap specials, I think, where he was talking about he doesn't just buy a record. If he buys a record and he loves it, he all of a sudden has to start doing a ton of research. I want to know what they ate for breakfast on Thursday, January 6, 1983. You know, like he wants to know as much information as possible. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but I'm kind of in the same boat. If I find something that I like through my various searches for the new releases, I all of a sudden want to hear more from that band. I want to know what other projects they've been involved with. I want to know, okay, I really like your guitar playing. What else have you played guitar on? And I tend to like chase down a lot of these guys, not actually like talking to them or getting to know them or anything, but just like, oh, this person played in this band and this band and this band and this band. Cool. Now I'm going to check out these bands so that I can see if there's anything else I like. And take that a step further, and all of a sudden you have a massive music collection with shitloads of vinyl, shitloads of CDs, shitloads of band shirts, and you just can't fucking stop. And that's kind of the boat that I fall into. I don't have as big of a music collection as a lot of other people, but there's definitely a large amount of music that I have listened to in my short life, and I hope that I get to hear a lot more of it. I have an insatiable curiosity for it, and I just hope that more killer music keeps coming out so that I can keep satiating that hunger for new music, especially new metal music. Since starting keto, what have been your go-to sweet and savory snacks? As much as I love sweet stuff, as much as I love candy and chocolate and that sort of stuff, what I really, really love is savory food. So the good news is there's a lot of savory snacks out there that are perfect if you're on keto. Stuff like pork rinds, for example. Stuff like cheese sticks, those little snack packs that you get that have like pieces of cheese and maybe slices of salami in them. So delicious. I love that stuff. Beef jerky. Yeah, you have a lot of sodium to deal with, but man, it's delicious. It's all meat. It's plenty of protein, plenty of fat, no carbs practically. What I find is harder to do is to find replacements for the foods that you loved before going on keto that are full of carbohydrates. Like, Jesus Christ, like bread, tortillas, stuff like that is really, really tough to find stuff that is low carb or no carb. You really have to shop around for that, but that to me has been a lot more difficult. Also wondering what your favorite Exodus album is. Impact is Imminent. I love that record. I've got a promotional poster from back when that album came out. I love Impact is Imminent. Don't get me wrong, I love pretty much all of the Exodus releases, some exceptions. But I love Impact is Imminent. Not a bad song on the record. I think it's a fantastic mix job. John Tempesta on drums. It's just an absolutely killer, amazing, amazing record. So with your different projects, do most of them just revolve around you playing everything? And if so, how do you come up with the name of the project? Like, what inspires you for the different names? So sometimes something just pops into my head and I just hang on to it forever and ever. I've got a ton of stuff I'm working on that has never seen the light of day, despite the fact that I've had the names for years and years and years, decades in some cases. It's just me needing to get off my ass and get shit finished so that you guys can hear it. Sometimes these project names just kind of come out of thin air like that, like, for instance, Nihilistic, that Black and Metal EP that Black and Metal single that we wrote live on stream over the course of those couple days. That was literally something where in the span of about 3 days, if I remember right, wrote, recorded, wrote the lyrics, mixed, mastered, and came up with the names for everything, all in those 3 days. I did not have Nihilistic as a band name or a project name. Those of you guys that were watching the stream might have even remembered that we were sitting there going like, what's a good band name? What's a good band name? And everyone was like, dude, just put it out under Voided. And I was like, no, because it's so different from Voided. I want to put it under a different title. And eventually we came up with Nihilistic. Even Voided, that was something where like I couldn't figure out what would be an appropriate name to put that music under, and then all of a sudden it just popped into my head one day. Oh, Voided, that's perfect, and that harkens to my fucking retail existence. Most of these projects, yes, are all me just trying to do everything myself. Occasionally, I will partner with a guest musician here or there. I've mentioned this gentleman before, but Randy Bachland is an awesome guitar player. He plays in a technical black metal band from Northern Illinois called Kakatopia. He has recorded a guest solo for one of my death metal projects. It will see the light of day one of these days. I just need to get off my ass and get it finished. So, Randy, if you're watching this, I apologize it hasn't come out yet. It will, I promise you, man. Lower end, you are high. So this comes from some video where I maybe reviewed something that was more mid-tier, and God help me, I'm gonna try really hard not to go off on a tangent here. But when I say mid-tier, I mean $600, $700, $800 range. Guitar players, we kind of take it for granted how spoiled we are with regards to the price point of our instruments, especially when you take into account other professional musicians. For instance, the most expensive guitar that I own, brand spanking new, would run you about the same price as a cheap professional, cheap but professional quality, cheap violin for an orchestral musician. You know, and if you wanted to get an even more in-depth to it, and you want to get something that was even more high-end, even more put together, even more perfect of an instrument, now you'd be talking about taking out a second mortgage on your fucking home just to be able to afford it. People don't understand, like, guitars, like, even guitars that are like thousands of dollars, everyone's always like, oh my god, that's so fucking expensive. Not really when you think about what goes into it. So the fact of the matter is that guitars are just substantially more mass-produced than other instruments, and in some instances, a lot less care goes into them. Hence why I have a fucking YouTube career. Like, $600, $700, $800, granted, I understand that that might be completely out of someone's financial ability, and for that, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend, but it is a lower end instrument when you compare it to higher end guitars out there, like the Framuses and the Pedalkas and the Ormsby custom shops and the Mayonnaise custom shops, etc., etc., etc. I could go on and fucking on. There's a reason why these instruments cost way more than the mass-produced Schecters, LTDs, Charvels, and stuff that we're more accustomed to in that price point. It's because of how much more time, effort, and attention to detail go into them. I'm not going to go completely into this because there's a lot of other guys on YouTube who have waxed far more eloquently than I could ever about this subject. Rua Kangas from Finland has a great video about this, and I urge you to check out his video about it. I'll post a link in the description. Bottom line is that the whole argument of, oh dude, it's just metal and wood, you know, how can it possibly be costing over X amount of dollars? Like, you need to take into account the amount of care that goes into these instruments. And when you spend less and less money on an instrument, you find less and less care goes into them. Sometimes you get lucky and you find a diamond in the rough. Sometimes you find an absolute pile of garbage that missed a lot of inspection checks. It's kind of a roll of the dice when you get to lower and lower price points. So for me to call a $600, $700, $800 instrument a little bit more on the lower end of the spectrum is not off base. I apologize if that offends, but it is what it is. It's a cheaper made instrument. And most of us, if we pick up an instrument that costs $300 and we pick up an equivalent instrument in terms of like, oh, looks like it's got the exact same specs, why is this one $400 and this one is $4,000? I'll bet you if you were to really go over them with a fine-tooth comb, you would find a ton of reasons why. That is why I talk about lower end of the spectrum. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. There again, I'm sorry to go off on a tangent here, but you can get a $300, $400, $500 instrument, keep it well maintained, spruce it up a little bit, replace parts as they need to be replaced, play the fuck out of it, break it in. You might be surprised to find that, hey, this cheapy thing that most other guitar players would probably overlook is the single best instrument I've ever played. So just because I'm bemoaning the price point thing a little bit does not mean we should ever discredit it for the price point. You might find something in that price range that is your perfect instrument, and more power to you. It's not a put down to say that it's a cheap instrument. It's a fact. It's a cheap instrument. I have watched tons of your videos, and what I really would like to know is if you could only choose one headless fanfret 7-string for the rest of your life, what would that be? So in all honesty, man, it totally depends on, there again, the price point that we're talking about, because certain price points, we're gonna get certain different levels of quality in there. So, like for instance, Ormsby, like in about the, you know, $1,500 range, this is an exceptional piece. I love my Ormsby Goliath. Granted, this is an 8 and we're asking about 7 now, but concept is still the same. I love all the quality control that goes into this. I love all the features. I love the fact that the multi-scale design is a little bit longer and more extreme than most other brands. I love the in-house pickups and how they still sound absolutely tits even though they're in-house pickups. I love the customized hardware. I love the people that work at that company. So I would probably say Ormsby at about the $1,500 range. Now, if you want to go into like, you know, $2,500 to $3,000, $3,500 range, there's a lot of great options out there for you. Look around. I'll give you one. That Hoppus that I played at Winter NAMM 2020 was beautiful. That was something that was kind of like, holy shit, you know, Robert's gotten even better as a luthier over the years. This is a perfect fucking instrument at a very, very attainable price point for a perfect, well put together custom shop instrument. And there's other stuff out there too, but you know, I'd like to think that once you get to about the $3,000 range, like I was mentioning in the previous question, at that point you start finding a lot less room for error, better and better instruments with the price. But if you want to talk about all around best value, Ormsby Goliath, these GTRs are fucking sick. Yo dude, big fan of the channel. I keep seeing that Dingwall in the background. They aren't particularly common in my neck of the woods, so I've never had a chance to play one of the 6 strings. What's the neck profile like? Keep up the good work, dude. So the Dingwall NG3 has kind of a really, really nice thin C shape. No doubt due to the fact that it is the Nolly signature model, and even though a lot of us know Nolly as being first and foremost an absolutely kick-ass bass player in the gent genre, but you also have to remember though, he is an incredible fucking guitar player. And as a guitar player, he needed a bass that he could easily adapt to. So if anything, I would probably guess that is the reason why this has such a thin C profile. It feels very, very comfortable to me as a guitar player. You know, it's definitely something that's easily adjusted to for the most part. Do you have a signature guitar yet? Oh man, I wish I had some big reveal for this question, but alas, I do not. The only signature piece of gear I currently have is my Guitarmory BTR single coil Strat set. By the way, fucking phenomenal set. I promise you, like, if I had a better option for recording the kind of Strat music that I want to record, I would use it. I use these because, oh my god, it sounds so fucking incredible. It really does. This is literally the Strat sound that I heard in my head that I wanted to capture with my Strat. And they fucking nailed it, literally on the first try. I have no problems with this thing whatsoever. It is a beautiful pickup set. Sounds super fat, super rich, so yeah. But by me saying all this, that kind of goes into a little bit of probably why I don't have a signature guitar. There's a variety of reasons why. Number one would be that, you know, granted, I'm not as well known of a YouTuber as a lot of other guys out there that do have signature models, and some that are way more well known than me that actually don't have signature models too. You know, there's definitely guys out there that I would say are far more deserving, so I'm an extremely high risk for someone to make a signature guitar for. For that reason, I've never been approached. I would love to be. That would be awesome, don't get me wrong. But now here I get into a few other things. First of all, what specs do I put on it? I love a lot of different guitars. Do I have a fat neck on it? Do I have a thin neck on it? Trem, fixed bridge, 2 humbuckers, 1 humbucker, fan fret, straight fret. You get the idea. There's a lot of shit that I would have to wrestle with. What do I want on my signature instrument? Besides that, who's gonna make it? Like, granted, I know I'm not some big fucking rock star, but what if I had a few companies all approach me around the same time. Hey, we'd love to work with you. We'd love to make you a signature guitar. How would I pick and choose? Because there's a lot of guitar companies out there who I have profound respect for and love for, and I would be so worried about coming off as unprofessional to someone that I wouldn't know how to pick which company to go with if I had multiple companies offering me this opportunity. But here's the final thing. I would like to think that if a signature guitar were coming out, and this also might make me a little higher risk too, I would like to think if I had a signature guitar coming out, I would be very, very concerned with the finished product and with the overall value that was coming out. And I would not pull any punches. And the reason why is because this is something that I kind of belabor a lot on this channel, is quality control, overall value, certain things that we can let slide at certain price points. So depending on the guitar that's coming out, depending on who's making it, depending on how much it costs, how much am I looking for on this guitar, you know? If it's $700 guitar, can I, of all people, abide by a teeny tiny fret end here or there that isn't quite as smooth as it could be? So I would have to wrestle with a lot of that shit, like quality control versus overall value on a signature instrument. And I don't think I would be the most diplomatic about that. I think I would probably put my foot down and be like, this has my fucking name attached to it. We can't put this out. Like, we absolutely cannot. Like, if we're gonna put this out, we need to recall all of them. We need to fix this so that this isn't a problem on all these other instruments. You know? I think that would be the most important thing to me, not the making money off of selling a signature guitar. It would be the overall finished product, and are we gonna have happy customers getting that product? So, you know, don't get me wrong, I would love this opportunity, but I'm a little scared of this opportunity. And now it's time for this week's Troll of the Week. And man, I don't know what to make of this, so let's just get right on into it. Hey you, wimpy wimpy wimpy! Yo, little peanut worm! Are you too much of a wimp to work out? Are you a weakling built like a sponge? Well, now you too can have muscles with anchor arms. Puts a long pink item on his arm. It slips on like a glove. Just add air. Puts a plug in the arm's hole and pumps air into it. How big do you want 'em? Pumps air into other arm. Normal. Puts more into arm. Veiny. And for the ladies, puts air into arm, which makes it grow hair. Hairy. The TV puts up an image of a weak shark. I was a wimp before anchor arms. Now I'm a jerk, and everybody loves me. So order now, wimp. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel. There's tons more metal guitar oriented content to come. Remember, please also take what you do seriously. Do not take yourself seriously.